Welcome to Your Business, Your Life with Matt Francesco, your personal financial technician. Whether you've had years of success in your business or just starting out, Highlift Financial can help you create a vision for your business, life, and family, and align these for generational wealth. As they say, what happens in your life affects your business. And now, on to the show. Well, hello and welcome to Your Business, Your Life with me, Matt Francesco. And I've got a great guest today because it's me. And I know you see Jerry over on the other screen. So Jerry Mitria is going to be kind of my moderator today because when I get talking on some of these topics, I tend to ramble on. And so Jerry's going to kind of keep me on track. But we really just want to have a conversation about a number of different topics, especially in the transition planning area and just in planning in general for your business. So Jerry Mitria, he's actually the father of Hannah, who, if you've listened to some of the podcasts, she had me on hers, and we actually pushed some of those episodes. Runs a great marketing firm, Be Eminent Marketing, and they do a fantastic job. They handle everything for me. So if you see social media posts, if you see LinkedIn posts, any articles, the ebook that's on my website, they've produced all that stuff. So they do a phenomenal job. So I can't speak highly enough about them. So, but anyway, I want to welcome Jerry here onto Your Business, Your Life. So, hey, Jerry, thanks for coming.
Hey, Matt, great meeting you. I've listened to the podcast, read these few articles, and there is just so much more that I really want to talk to you about.
Right.
There's so many aspects of all of what you've talked about in the podcast, the fiduciary duties and everything like that, and relationships and everything. But really, I looked at buying a business years ago, and this business was a painting contracting business. Okay.
Right.
I was in the painting field and it was a business, but I went into managing a paint store.
Oh.
So I seen this company coming through, and the father passed away. So the sons took it over. But after 2 years in the managing of the paint store, I got tired.
Yeah.
I didn't have the brush in hand and was going out there painting on the wall.
Right.
So I talked to the son, and I was going to buy the business off of him. So I went into the business as an employee for a couple of weeks, and he had no exit plan. Okay.
Yep.
And why wait? On this article just brought all that back of how can we actually tell people they can't wait? And there's so many good in this article, but when you say the benefit 3, it allows time to build value in the business.
Right.
How do we stress that?
Good question, because I think it's one of the most important things. And I think it's the one thing that most shop owners miss is, they're always trying to build value. We're always trying to increase cash flow, build the business. But what we don't ever think about is what that's going to look like in the future. And too many times, and this is in the shop business, but it's in anybody who's typically doing a trade type of thing, is they get so bogged down in the daily grind. All right. That they miss some of the little things that they need to be doing to be able to build that value in the business. And then, we were talking offline here about, what happens. A lot of times I get prospects that come in, through referral, through reading articles in Body Shop Business, however they're coming in. And it's like, okay, I want to exit now. And what they don't realize is it takes some time. They may not be in a position to exit now. So by building value in the business, you're actually you're lining up the chips in your favor. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. But it makes a lot of sense to those that have been in a business. But when you have the dad that has run the business for a long time, and he has, like to say, he has his set mindset.
Right.
Okay. And the son has it a little different,
right?
But yet they don't have the key factor of projecting it for financial stability, for longevity.
It's interesting because so one of my very first collision clients, it's an interesting story. I've related in a couple other podcasts, but I met the guy, we started working together. 2 sons were in the business and he didn't feel that they were real capable, started working with them. They had some emotional baggage because they were like, my dad doesn't let us do anything. And so it's I spend a lot of time kind of managing the emotions that are in there and trying to get everybody to understand each other's perspectives. But to make a long story short, start. We made progress. The one son wasn't really interested in the business. We kind of transitioned him out, but we found another area that he was interested in. All right. And so kind of we started to create a business for that. And we got to a point, we've been doing this about 5 years. And then the dad just was like, you know what? I think we've done well. And I think we're okay. I think I can take it from here. So I was like, okay, well, what are you going to do? But we maintained because we had built a relationship. So we maintained a friendship. Well, it's funny because it kind of came back to me just a few weeks ago. And, we got talking. I've been talking to him about business continuity, this idea of,
continuity.
How do you put plans in place to, ensure that if you're run over by a Mack truck, that the business is going to thrive and that your family's going to continue on. And it was funny because then I had a conversation with both his key guy and his son. And it was like, he hasn't made any progress since, 3 years ago, since, we kind of parted ways. And I think that's the critical factor, is that sometimes I think moms and dads or shop owners think, okay, I can handle all this. But again, they get kind of stuck in their own cycles and their own, I guess, for lack of a better term, workflow. All right. And then they never make any progress going to build more value, or they only focus on one little area. Like this guy's done a phenomenal job building culture in his business. All right. But he still doesn't have any continuity plan in place. He's not provided any vehicles for the son and the key guy to be able to, to find out what their vision is and what they do and how do we progress them toward their goals. And so they're kind of stuck in this holding pattern. And what's happening is dad's kind of like off doing his thing, and, he's working on his lake house now and all this stuff. And here's the son and the key guy who are supposed to be the succession that are going, well, where are we fitting in all this? God's not making anything clear to us.
That's exactly what I say. How do we make that clear to them? Because it's not just the dad's financial independence that this is for. It's for the key guy. It's for the son. And the financial independence is for all of them to go together.
Right. Oh, yeah, it's so true. And how do you do that? The most effective way, at least that I found, is to start trying to bring the family together and start getting family meetings and help them to create a vision. But more importantly, to help them to start create a dialogue. I mean, most families never sit down and talk to like my parents never talked to me and said, Matt, what's your dream? What's your goal? What's your vision? They kind of had like, okay, Matt should be doing this. Right. And it just, and I do this with my kids now because I think I learned from it is like, I don't push them to do a certain thing. You need to find your own way. You need to find your vision. I'm here to support you as much as possible, but you need to let me know what you want. Well, and I'll help to support you in that. And so we've got to create that kind of dialogue within families to start getting these things out in the open. And I think you need to have it with your employees too, especially if you've got employees. I think that's one where you really got to find out, like the shop owner I'm telling you about now, his key guy wants to take it over. He could go to one of the big consolidators. He could go to Gerber and make twice as much money as he's making now.
Wow. Okay.
But he wants to stay within the community. He wants to have ownership. He wants to build something for himself and his family. By the shop owner dragging his feet, he's not, the kid's getting frustrated. And he may end up just saying, you know what, there's no hope here. I'm going to go to a Gerber and just make the money that I need to make.
So exactly what you're saying, his vision is to build something. How do you put the owner's vision that really is a great vision, okay? Right. And move that to your key employee, to maybe your son, so they understand that the owner's vision is really for financial independence for everybody that works here.
Well, first off, they've got to want that for them. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, there's some that just, they don't care. And it's like, it's just about them. And I'll let my guys go. And they're typically not the type of shop owners I like to work with. The ones I like to work with are ones that want to build legacy, that they want to create something bigger than themselves, whether it's within the family or just within the business or within their employees. So, I've got one of my partners. She's one of the top M&A people in the collision industry. All right. She's actually my big referral source because she finds there's a lot of these guys, they come out, I just want to sell to a consolidator. But then as she starts to talk to them, she'll find, well, maybe there is, I do have a son the business and I'd like to transit, but I have no idea how to do it. Well, that's who she's sending over to me. All right.
Right.
And if they're just looking for a big check, then it's probably, I mean, I'll manage the money for them if they want to do that. But as far as putting an exit plan in place, is it really going to accomplish the vision that they have? And I think, again, I would say the biggest challenge, Jerry, is getting these shop owners to create that vision. Like most of them say, I'm tired, I'm worn out, I want out. But then what does your life look like afterwards? And I always say, I use this analogy all the time. I say, you've put a puzzle together, right? And putting a puzzle together is really just taking this piece and, this piece fits together, boom, right? Have you ever tried to put together a puzzle without seeing the picture that's on the top of the box?
Not really. You got to see, you got to have that.
You've got that picture as well, because that's where, you're looking, is this the right piece? And this is a hand or a finger. And there it is. That's where that fits together. That's how this whole planning process is about. But we've got to paint the picture first. And that's the thing that I think most shop owners get stuck on, is that they never take the time to sit down and say, what do they want their lives to look like? Got a guy down in Florida who loves to deep sea fish. All right. And he's looking to transition his business. The son wants to buy it. But the problem is his dad's still hanging around. And I had a conversation with him about it. And the problem was that I love to fish. They deep sea fish. So that's heavy lifting. He goes, I can't do that every day. So I don't know what the rest of my life's going to look like. So what we've been in the process now of doing is helping him to create a bigger picture. He'd like to open like a little bait shop and just sell that, and just kind of hang out in the dock and then, have the freedom to go fish when he wants, but when he's not, do that. And then also, you can take the boy out of the shop, but you can't take the shop out of the boy.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm working with the son. We're going to create like dad's own little bay where he can work on his own little private projects that he wants to. He's got a friend who needs a car fixed and dad wants to do that. And he wants to do it for cash. He can do that. All right. It's not really part of the business, but I've had another one. I got another shop owner who transitioned the business. All right. But when they sold the business, they created a board of directors. So dad's on the board of directors. So he can still help out when he wants to. Okay. So like, for example, I was talking to him a couple of weeks ago and he was just working on some census information that the son needed for the business, for the benefits plans. That's something his son didn't want to do. Dad could still have his fingers in it. So there's a lot of different ways to do this, but it's about creating the vision first. People without vision will perish. And so I think that's critical in anything that we do.
Oh, it's very critical. And it goes back to fear in a man's heart will stop him.
Right. Exactly.
That is crucial in that respect. And then that goes with the responsibility of fiduciary duty that you bring into this here. It's just not doing one thing. You can explain how that really, Yeah,
you mean through the process about quarterbacking? Yeah, that's and that's where the fiduciary duty is. It was funny. I had a conversation with one of my peers, and we're part of this mastermind group. And there's this young kid who's in it, and he's always copying everything I do. He's copying. Oh, I want to do consulting with business owners. Oh, I want to do exit planning. But the problem is, and I was telling my friend this, I said, the thing that sticks in my craw is that I can see it. I can see it and I can hear it. He's only doing it for the money. And I think the one thing, and maybe it's a fatal flaw on my part, but my passion is helping families come together and create something bigger than themselves. And to me, the money's just a byproduct of all of that, but it's not the thing that drives me. And again, that's part of my vision. But I've had to articulate that. And I've had to say, because I've gone through this process back and forth. Should I be doing that? Should I be doing that? And you kind of come to a point where you have to be congruent with your own mind. All right.
Right.
Sleep at night. All right. Am I doing the right things for the right people? So because I care about people, that's why the fiduciary responsibility comes on. And sometimes there's tough conversations that I got to have with people because it's in their best interest and they don't want to hear it. And I've gotten fired over it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I told you about that first client where, again, he didn't like some of the stuff I was telling him. And I think I can handle it from here. Funny thing is he's coming back now. So.
They do that. Yeah, I've noticed that in different respects. Yeah.
Right.
Oops, didn't work that way.
That's exactly right. Yeah, exactly. I know where you're coming from.
Yeah. But the big thing is actually, it's not an instant gratification.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But it's a tremendous gratification when it's all set in place.
Right. Ain't that the truth?
And in my experience of life is seeing how the younger don't really relate to that anymore, and how we're looking to actually put something in place. Even 5 years, sometimes it's hard to grasp, but it goes by so quick.
Yes. It goes by quickly, very quickly. And that's where it's interesting. I remember when I was getting my certification in advanced exit planning, and that was one of the common themes that came out through the education was that most shop owners, I can ask every shop owner or any business owner person. I mean, there's 3 questions I can ask them. Okay. First off, when are you looking to exit? And I can guarantee I've done this before. Write it down on an index card. And I say, I've written something on the index card. I just want to see if it's going to match up. And they say, well, in the next 5 years. And I show them 5 years. Okay. And I said, and they're like, how'd you know that? I said, because every shop owner, 5 years is long enough that you think you have time to prepare, but short enough that it's not like, whoa, it's way out there. The problem is they never do planning. And so what happens is this 5-year plan becomes the revolving 5-year plan. So the next year it's, well, in 5 years, and the next year it's in 5 years. Okay.
Right.
The second one is, all right, so how much money do you want to live on when you finally transition out? And the almost to a T, the answer is, well, the same amount I'm living on now. Okay, great. All right. So how are you going to do that? Well, I figure I've got this in investable assets and in retirement accounts, and my business is worth X. Okay. And that's going to get, and I've heard that, 4% is a good distribution rate. So that's going to give me my number. I'm like, okay, well, you say your business is worth this. Well, first off, do you know it's worth that?
It's worth,
because I'll tell you what, most business owners most shop owners especially have no clue on what the value of their business is. All right. Second is, okay, so let's say it's worth, we'll just throw out a number. Let's say it's worth the 5 million that you think it is. Okay. What about taxes? Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So you got 20-30% coming off just on taxes. Okay. Then what about professional fees? CPA fees to do the cash flow, do the valuations, do your cash flow projections. What about the business attorneys that are writing documents? If you're selling to a third party, what about the M&A person? All right, so you're probably knocking off more. So now all of a sudden your 5 million might only be 3 to 2.5 million. Now you're not at your number. Okay. And then this gets into the point about building value, because we got to get the number first and then figure out what do we really have? Where do we stand? And is there that asset gap, as we call it? All right. Now we need time to fill that asset gap so that we now have the resources when we do whatever transition that it is. All right.
Right.
To be able to have the lifestyle that they want.
Right. And it goes back to what I was thinking whenever I was working in this shop. We did these cars, and I was basically sanding. And he had these cars featured on Hot Rod magazine. They were in the magazine. I mean, he was moving. He was really doing some great stuff, and it was just phenomenal. But 20 years later, he wasn't there.
Yeah.
And that's why
it's important to think now. It's, that's why any shop owner, any business owner that's listening to this, start your planning now. Even if you're 10, 15 years away from I'm even considering it, you can still build value in the business. Okay. Absolutely. And there's a lot of financial vehicles. And this is where I kind of come in. I mean, there's a lot of financial vehicles. So for example, let's go back to my shop owner I was talking about. He's got this key guy that wants to take ownership. All right. Well, but he's, the shop owner's been going back and forth. Well, what's to keep that key employee to say, you know what? I've been doing this for 15 years. I don't see any progress. I might as well just go to Gerber. I can make twice as much. Right. So why not have some type of non-qualified deferred comp, some type of golden handcuffs on him, some type of stock bonus program that you can start bonusing him stock. So he now has some ownership in it, maybe not controlling ownership, but he's got some ownership in it. These are things that you can put into place. We look at business continuity. I mean, great. You want to transition the business, but you're dragging your feet. You get run over by a Mack truck. How is that business going to sustain itself? Okay.
How's it going to sustain itself?
Right. So do you have proper buy-sell agreements? Do you have proper key person insurance? Do you have a business continuity document in place that tells then people know where it is so they can find where's the combination of the safe, where are the passwords to the bank accounts, where are those, I mean, all of these little things. This is probably the biggest thing that I see most shop owners, almost every one of them. And I'll tell you what, Jerry, this is kind of the craziest thing. It's one of the hardest conversations to have with them because even being in financial services for the last 18 years, people don't want to talk about their deaths. And I think in the back of our minds, we think we're going to live forever, baby. But I don't know anybody who's gotten out of this alive, right?
Not yet.
What did Ben Franklin say? The only things that are for sure in life are death and
taxes. Well, Matt, we're coming up on about to close. Any closing statement here that we can analyze?
Okay. Yeah. I think the biggest thing is you need to start planning now. I mean, and like I said, I get too many guys. What I'm hoping that I communicated here is that there's a lot of moving parts, creating the family vision, finding out where your key employees are. Do you have business continuity in place? These are key areas that you need to address before you can even enter into the whole idea of transition. And like I said, most shop owners don't take those into account. And what I'm really trying to stress to shop owners, you need to be thinking about this now. It's it's an investment into your future. And I see too many guys that want to they become tightwads and they don't look at paying an exit planning professional, paying a CPA, a good CPA that's going to help them with planning, a good attorney the same way, as an investment in their future. And so that's the one thing I want you to stress. And I think the other thing is too, where an exit planner is really of a benefit, is helping to coordinate all those outside people. So, because too many times you talk to your attorney, he tells you something, go to the CPA. Well, he's looking at the tax ramifications. Well, he tells you something different. You talk to a financial planner, and they're telling you something completely different. And now you're just going, I don't know. Having that one person who's coordinating that whole effort is valuable. It's worth the money in gold. So
absolutely. And I think the closing will be now.
That's right.
Now.
It's now. It's now. So anyway,
thank you.
Thank you, Jerry, because I feel much more comfortable being able to talk to somebody about this than trying to just do it, just kind of shoot from the hip on my own. So I appreciate you being here. We're going to have Jerry on for a couple other episodes to help just, kind of work through some of these other topics. So thank you, Jerry. And the last thanks always goes to you. Matt. Yep. Well, the last thanks always goes to you, the audience. Thank you to listening for Your Business, Your Life with me, Matt Francesco. If you've not subscribed to the podcast, please click the subscribe button below. That way, when a new episode comes out, it's going to download directly to your device. And also check us out on YouTube. You get to see a pretty face like Jerry's. I'm like, I don't know about that, but you'll get to see our pretty faces. And there's a lot in body language too. If you're just listening to this, you don't see my hands going like all over the place. It's, bringing out the Sicilian in me. But anyway, and if you like what you're hearing, please give us a 5-star review. That helps us to move up onto the list and get more of this great content out to other people. So with that, I want to thank you for listening to Your Business, Your Life. Thank you, Jerry, and take care and God bless. Hey, I really want to thank you for listening to the Your Business, Your Life podcast. If you want to be notified when new episodes become available, click the subscribe button below.
The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of High Lift Financial. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investment, legal, or tax advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified professional with any questions you may have regarding your business or personal planning. Francesco Financial Concierge, LLC, DBA High Lift Financial, is a registered investment advisor. Registration with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission or any state security authority does not imply a certain level of skill or training.